Citizen Mentis. My name is Ketan. We have Dr. Deepa Dixit with us. Ma'am hails from Wellington Institute of Management. Ma'am is Senior Associate Dean with Wellington. So this session, what we intend to do is give you guys an idea about how a student can crack interview. And when you talk about cracking interview, it's all about creating that impression or creating that impact on a panel. Because a lot of time it happens that even after having a good profile, people are not able to get through. So we have somebody who's really experienced. I mean, you can learn a lot from ma'am. I was just having a discussion with ma'am, and it's going to be amazing. So stick around and listen to ma'am very carefully. I'm very sure she will give you certain tips and tricks, out of her own experience, which will help you definitely to nail all the interviews out there. Ma'am, I'm really happy to have you. And
thank you, Ketan. Yeah.
And I would love to hear from you all these things that we actually want to tell students and how they can crack the interviews eventually. Over
Right.
to
Sure, I'll try and do my best. I've had the joy of having worked with Wellington now for almost 20 years, and I've met students, several students year on year. And yes, the way an MBA works and what it does for students today and what it did for students few years back and how it's going to emerge in the next, I would say over the next 5 years is certainly going to be very, very different, which means what does this mean to the students who are listening into this? It means what these schools are going to look for when they are going to enroll students to different programs is certainly going to undergo some change. And it's important that students become aware of that and they're prepared with that, because how employers are looking at people who are going to join them, what is required from entrepreneurs, all that is changing, and therefore what we will look for will also certainly be modified from what it was in the in the back.
Right.
Back years, yeah.
Because my own experience has been, ma'am, is that I mean, in Indian education, I think we have certain things which go a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, and we don't change them. For example, when you talk about the interview aspect, there are a lot of students out there. If they're not getting proper training, they're still following the stereotype methodology of giving the interview, telling the answers in the same way, right?
Yeah.
So as you rightly pointed that people do have a good profile indeed, but they're not able to express themselves in the interview. Can you give us a little bit idea about it? And also at the same time, what I believe strongly is that Wellington as an institute of management has always been very much keen on hiring people or taking students on board with good profile. And profile includes everything: extracurricular, co-curricular, academics, everything.
Yes.
So how you guys do it, and what sort of requirement or what sort of things you look at the resume. So if you can just brief us about it.
Right. So about Wellinger, bang on, Ketan, over the years, we have not just stuck to putting too much of weightage onto the CAT or the CMAT or the entrance test scores. That is important, certainly. But let us understand that is a filtration process of some sort. What we are really looking for is the overall package of these students. And one huge differentiation in the selection process at Wellinger has been our what you call a decisive approach to look at the overall profile of the candidates, which is why you will see that the male-female ratio at Wellinger far outshines, as in is far more balanced than several other business schools. That's because we are not looking at only a certain type of skill sets, but we are looking at what are you really good at, and is there a market for that? Are you trainable, and can we present this to the corporate world outside? So these have been our paramount, aspects of paramount importance for us. When a student comes to Wellinger, yes, we are looking at 4 important stages. One is, of course, the entrance percentile which they get. The other is their academic profile, and we are looking at their 10th, 12th, and graduation. Are we looking at specifically engineers or specifically science graduates or commerce? No, we are not. We have a very good diverse students with a diverse background at Wellinger. One of the reasons for that, and I think this is a huge plus, is we have varied genre of programs. So you have a PGDM, which has the regular 4 specializations of marketing, finance, HR, and ops. But we also have PGDM programs in e-business, business design, and like you rightly pointed out, we have been ahead of times. Usually what we are looking at is the next cycle, the upcoming cycle. So when we started business design way back in 2007 and 8, people did not even know what design was. Most of them mixed it up with aesthetics. But today, if you look at the Twitter handles of the world leaders, everybody is talking about design in the boardroom.
Right.
Every leading business school in India is having a program on design today. So learning to spot that ahead of time and looking at patterns so that the students who take these programs can start benefiting early on. That has been our mantra, to be honest. And these different programs help us bring in companies from different genres, and the profiles are pretty varied. So that gives students an advantage. So, everybody is not vying for the same profile. So you don't have 20,000 students looking for that one same profile which a company is sharing, but you have several companies, and because you have a certain background, you have the advantage of applying for different profiles which otherwise would not have been available to you. E-business program, for one, is in that space. When we start, in fact, we are still the only business school who has a full-fledged e-business program where we are marrying technology and domain knowledge, and that program has non-engineers also, and they're working for some leading companies. So I would say that we are looking at academics, but we are not heavily banking on students being from a particular academic background. What we are looking for is consistency in your academics. Are you while you can't be a 90 percentiler, all of them cannot be 90 percent marks in 10th, 12th and graduation. What we are looking at is, do you make that cut? Do you make the effort? And is that an attitude which you have? Because consistency is all about attitude. It's nothing to do only with capability.
Right.
Students who are super capable, but they do well only when they are under pressure or there is a real need to do something. So we are not looking at just that.
What I want to point out from my side is, I remember e-business and business design. These are the programs that are decade old now.
Yes.
And I think Wellinger is the pioneer who actually came up with this kind of program.
Correct.
I mean, when they were literally started back in 2007, 8, 9, people might have not understood that, ki kyun hua hai, right?
Yes.
But now looking at the IT industry, the e-business is actually a really sort of a, famous program as far as Wellinger is concerned.
Yes, absolutely.
Because now, even if you look at a lot of IT companies, they have financial companies as their clients, and they want somebody who understands IT plus finance.
Correct.
Even e-commerce people are now able to get, the commerce guys are now able to get job in the IT companies. So that's the best thing about, Wellinger, and that is something I always tell my students that, you can look out for. So,
yes, and because you have this variety of programs, the PG course students also tend to benefit from that, because there are certain aspects which are common across for all the students in the institute. So for example, when Wellinger partners with an MIT US to do an innovation design hackathon kind of an initiative, all the students across all programs get a hands-on of what this innovation is all about. When you say think out of the box, how do you actually do it? So they get a hands-on on this. So we are not curtailed to just operating in a certain track, and because there are multiple tracks, you get the advantage of learning other things. So for example, we have a research and business analytics program now, and it's there both at the Mumbai and the Bangalore campus. So how, of course, the research and business analytics students go deeper into it, and their profiles, what they get from companies, are slightly more diverse and deeper in the analytics space. But companies are coming to us and saying, do you have an HR student who knows a little bit about analytics? And Wellinger's answer is yes. Because we have an entire program on that, we take some of the important leaves which are going to become part of every specializations, what you call need or understanding of that is required, and we are able to provide that domain knowledge to students. So I think that makes a huge difference, which is why we are happy to take a diversity of, students coming from commerce and science, and now with the healthcare program, also students coming with a pharma background, and or your dentist. We've even had medical practitioners taking up that program and doing really well. We have funding from a very large international body to do research in the healthcare space, which has been allotted to Wellinger, and the exposure that students get on account of this is simply mind-boggling. I wish I could do that program today. It's that exciting. So I think what students should focus on, of course, you can go and change your academics or your scores today. But I think what you certainly can do is, if there have been certain other academic awards that you have won, pen them down. If you have done something when you were in college, pen them down. Take the trouble to populate your application smartly and look unique, because there is really no space for a me too or a look-alike, so to say. Everybody is looking for somebody special, even when and and everybody has something that they are doing which is very different than others. So take the trouble to identify that and populate your application. The third step is really a big piece, which we give equal or sometimes more importance than even the entrance test, and that is the group discussions and personal interview process. The entire fraternity at Wellinger, the faculty and the head of the institution, put in a lot of effort into identifying what are the qualities that we want to really measure or look for when we are recruiting or when we are enrolling students into a particular program. And a lot of these insights come from what industry tells us and what we are seeing happens at the time of students stepping into the world of work. So what we are realizing over a period of time, and which I want all the students to work on, is these three aspects, which probably you've heard of before: attitude, skills, and knowledge. So you can certainly, that's what we want to ask of you. Attitude, skills, and knowledge. And your knowledge is something that you've probably gained when you have completed your degree or when you have gone ahead and worked. What is the attitude that you have built over the years? And can you show me this attitude? So when we say, can you show me this attitude? So students write, strengths, for example, they'll say, I have leadership qualities. Wonderful. So have you, led anything during your, it doesn't have to always be in your college. Have you taken a leadership position in any kind of activity? So even if you have led, some kind of a social change, but if it is genuine and you can put that down, if you have led a team, if you were in a workplace, did you achieve something as a team leader? If you were in that kind of, because most MBA aspirants who have work experience, a large chunk comes from the IT and ITES sector. So in that sector, certainly you have a lot of appreciation that companies give for qualities that students exhibit at the workplace. So have you made an effort to be there and be ahead, kind of a thing? Third most important thing is, have you developed the ability to network with people, and how good are your interpersonal relations, and can you connect with people? Can you make people want to talk to you and build a relationship? Because even in a technology driven world, a lot of intelligence still comes from humans, and in fact this interpersonal relationship is something that's never going to go out of style. In fact, it's going to gain more and more importance. So do you have that capability, and do you have the capability to apply? So when we're saying an attitude of application, what we mean is you have learned something, do you know where all to apply it? So if I give you a situation, this is let me quickly give this with an example, Ketan. You can interrupt me if you wish to.
No, ma'am. I'm listening to you.
Yeah. So a lot of times students write what they have learned at their workplace or in their degree. And I think the best part of an interview is getting the interviewer to see how that learning can be translated to what they're wanting to get into. So, for example, uh, let us say if you are an engineer and you've done a final year project where you have developed some kind of a tool which determines heat maps. Where people are going, etc. And let's say you want to specialize in marketing tomorrow after doing your MBA. So if I want to say that I'm really good at applying my knowledge, I would say that, I want to do marketing. I want to find out, for example, in a crowded mall or in a big space, is there some way where I can figure out where most people go first and then go next, and use that information to derive how I should be designing my store or how I should be designing the user experience that I want people to have. So if you're able to think a little ahead as to where will you use things that you have developed. So if you have leadership quality, where do you think you will use it? How do you think it can, it can be of value to an organization in the future? If you just apply your mind a little bit on that, I think your interview is more likely to be a conversation where you will let the interviewer know more about you as an individual or as a person. Unlike an interview where you try to keep on saying things that you believe they want to hear. So an annoying experience is, when you watch, let's say when people watch movies or they're buying books online, uh, the AI machine tells you, people, the last time you bought a book in the genre related to this. So these are 10 other books in that genre. And you're like, I don't want to read that. I want to read a new genre.
Right.
So
Right.
the interviewer is not wanting to look for clones. What we are looking for is you. And I want every student to believe that they are a brand in themselves. And if they start treating themselves that way,
Right.
they would be able to represent accordingly.
Right. I just want to catch that word which you said, and it actually goes with my mentality, wherein a lot of time, as I said, stereotype education system wherein people have been told that you sell yourself in the interview.
Yeah.
As rightly pointed out by you, that students now need to brand themselves.
Yes.
And I think most of the time students are under the impression that they have to impress the interview panel. I would say you need to express so that it turns out to be a decision. But I mean, those who do it are getting the marks. Out of curiosity, I want to ask you one question. Sometimes when it happens that students say that, "Mera interview 5 minutes में खत्म हो गया."
Ah, yes.
And somebody says that, "Mera interview 30 minutes चला." मैम ये थोड़ा सा clear कर दो.
Yeah, so this is true even in job interviews at times.
Right.
Yeah, and students who get interviewed for 5 minutes, they feel, that's it. I don't think. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just as simple as you going to a store, and I'm sorry to put the students in the place of a product, but if you like the cut, if it fits you, and you think you got it in 5 minutes,
Perfect.
you buy and you move on. All right. Or if you're sure this is certainly not what you're buying, you move on. When you've not probably been able to, you're not decisive, surely, or you still want to know a little more to make up your mind, it may just stretch. Also, there is a like every student has a personality, every interviewer has a personality.
Exactly.
And so sometimes some students rather some panelists may insist on, dwelling a little more time with the person who's come in. Somebody else is not of that nature, So if you have a person who's from the capital markets business, maybe he'll take a quick call, and maybe somebody else with a different personality may take a little longer time. So time has got nothing. It's not proportionate to selection or no selection at all. There's no correlation between the two.
Yeah, but a lot of times students are getting confused. 5 minutes, and I was out of the classroom. Like, am I really selected or not?
Yeah.
So that's how it is. Ma'am, I wanted to ask you because these are the questions that we get all the time, from our
Sure.
students. What's the differentiation factor between Wellinkar Mumbai and Wellinkar Bangalore?
Wellinkar Mumbai is in the financial capital and Bangalore is in the Silicon City of India. Yeah. So the differentiation is as a brand, I think the factors which we promise are common. The number of programs in terms of variety is also increasing in Bangalore. Last year, we started the research and business analytics program. We began with e-business in Bangalore. So I would say as a brand, certain things are promised as Wellinkar, and there's no difference between the two. Because they are placed in different cities, the type of certain opportunities will certainly be different. If you ask some of the students here in Mumbai, after some time, they're like, can we do one semester in Bangalore? And, yeah. And there are some students in Bangalore who are like, can we do one semester in Mumbai? And that kind of thing happens. Because what they realize is that there is something to gain from both. The faculty in both the campuses for each of the programs are specialists in their zone. We have a good number of core faculty, which is we don't rely so much on visiting faculty alone in both the campuses. But as a good B school should have, we have a good number of industry persons who come and teach as well. Because in areas where things are changing really fast, like in media or analytics, you have to have an industry person come in and shock the daylights out of you in the classroom so that you know what's going to happen when you step outside there. I would think the advantage that Bangalore has is it has an intake of about 210 and across 4 programs. So the advantage is that the faculty student rapport is far more tighter, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, and Mumbai is a bigger a pool of students of 600. Not that the faculty student rapport is not as big, but Bangalore is also residential, so to say, because all the students have to stay in the hostel. Mumbai, that compulsion is not there, although we wish we could provide that. It's not easy in Mumbai. So I think that is a huge advantage that Bangalore certainly has. And Mumbai has the advantage of being the older campus. So there are certain plus points of being the early bird. So I would say that, I would put my bet on Mumbai or Bangalore of Wellinkar. I mean, if I were to choose between the two and I had a choice to make, getting into either is, I think, equally good.
Okay.
Yeah. In all respects, even in terms of placements. So Bangalore has their own placement office, faculty and team dedicated to placements, all of that. And
it's a green campus, if I'm not wrong. It's a green campus, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's a green campus. And by the way, Bangalore is more than now what? I think they are also 12 years old. So they're going to be teenagers soon.
I visited, I think 2019 for a panel discussion.
Yes, I remember.
Had a great
experience. How did you like the campus? What did you find different?
Campus is very beautiful, to be very honest. The thing that I liked about, I just said, the faculty student rapport is really amazing. The actual mentorship in a real world that we call it as, I think that's happening over there. Secondly, now students are moving towards Bangalore as a campus because it's a Silicon Valley. And students are specific that, what, I want to get into IT company, I would prefer Bangalore. And again, it's an advantage. Somebody coming from that part of the country would definitely go for Bangalore. And there are some students they say that, Bombay is very humid. I'll not, kind of get settled. I'll go to Bangalore. But I'll say education-wise, it doesn't really change. Bangalore has that, uniqueness, and I'm very sure it will continue with that.
Yeah.
One last question I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
I have been, and this is coming, directly from bottom of my heart, and there is no, interest or so my own interest as such. I have been looking at Wellinkar, Mumbai, and Bangalore from last 7 to 8 years, ma'am. Being very honest with you. One thing I really appreciate about Wellinkar, the student quality is moving up every single year, man. The profiles are doing amazingly good. That's number one. Number two, Wellinger as a college, now people have, I mean, like the range has gone up now. It's more wider. There are a lot of regions like South or North or East or West. People know Wellinger College very well. At the same time, people also know the quality of students in Wellinger very well, right? Without that sort of a marketing, and there are certain institutes in Mumbai itself. Students are not aware of them, but they are aware of Wellinger and Wellinger students' quality. So that's a fabulous thing. What I want to ask from this thing is, what's the vision of college moving ahead? Because now the college is moving the ladder up. It's setting the new benchmark. I would love to hear from your side that what's there in the kitty for the upcoming generation. Is it going to be much better? Do you guys have anything so that students can understand? I can definitely go for Wellinger because these guys are doing some real, cool things which will help me in long run. So anything about that?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about a couple of things that we have been consciously working on in the last 2-3 years. One, like I mentioned early on, we have an innovation lab. Okay. It's called the REDX V School Lab. And every year or every alternate year, we've been working with MIT as well, MIT US, to organize what you may call as a hackathon over here, but a design innovation workshop, so to say. And I think the huge change that we are making in the way a management program is delivered is get out of your classroom, okay, and go out there and experience things for yourself. Get your hands and feet dirty and prove that, if you have an idea, I don't want to see a PPT.
Perfect.
I want to see it work. Okay. So one is the Global Citizen Leader Program that we've had now. It's more than 8-9 years that we've been running this program. This we started way back with Center for Creative Leadership, which trains Fortune 500 companies in leadership and innovation and entrepreneurship. So we initiated this partnership around 2010-11 actually. What we do in this is we approach companies and they give us a live project. And there is now, how projects work for most students, 48 hours, 72 hours, burn the midnight oil. And it sounds almost very, glamorous to do all of this. But let me tell you, it's not. And everything is not, I like noodles too, but everything is not a 2-minute activity. So this particular project is spread across two trimesters. So almost 4 to 5 months. So when you have to hang on with that project and when you become answerable to finding a solution that works, and the first few months we teach them, don't create a solution. Okay, and tell them to go out there and actually find out what is really happening. Listen to the voice of the people and come back and design something that is really making, that can provide value. That is something that a lot of corporates are appreciating. So even during this COVID time, a lot of students were able to provide some value to their summer internship companies, although they were sitting from home, because they had gone through this experience in the first year. The other thing is the innovation lab that I mentioned to you. It actually helps you design and make the prototype. So you may not be a coder, but then you have a set of people over there. You go talk to them, tell them this is how I envisage the solution. We have a 3D printer. I don't know which other B school has it. And we actually make the product. We try it out with people who are going to use it. Because this blended approach to how you're going to solve problems is going to be the requirement in the future. So whether you're a bank or whether you're an FMCG company, you're going to want people who can identify new ways of doing business, providing value to customers, and solving their problems. So whether it is about using less water to wash your hair, or whether it is about marketing a completely new style of shoes. I'm sure most people would have seen the Nike shoe where you don't have to touch the shoe. This is what we are betting on, and this is something we have been consistently working on. Every year, there are so many hackathons that the All India Council for Technical Education announces. And every year I see that we are among the three or four business schools who are part of it. So otherwise, it's mostly engineering colleges and stuff. And what students are realizing is that when they actually go down there and get their hands dirty, they really know how to now, the kind of confidence and the kind of ability with which they can enter a room and discuss something with the company completely changes. It's more meaningful, and it's something that's going to build their career. So not maybe instantaneously, but over the next few years.
Because I think practical learning is very important, and students have this kind of thing in their mind. I mean, it's not a good thing, but then this is what we get to know that ठीक है, engineering कर लिया, commerce कर लिया, MBA भी हो जाएगा, exam ही तो देना है, PPT बना. So when I hear all these things, I feel bad because somewhere down the line, the way we should run the entire curriculum, maybe something wrong with that. But then again, the way you said it, it's going to be more practical. They have to get their hands dirty. I think that is what the need of the hour. You need to have
also, Ketan, everybody says that I want to have practical learning, but when it comes to actually learning practically, it's not so easy. So we tell the student, okay, go, you have to go and interview 300 people all over Mumbai. They're not sitting there waiting for you to come and interview them.
Right.
There's no reason they should be talking to you in the first place. So, go and do that. And they don't know English either. And why should they be answering your questions? So this is the real world. And so when you say I want to build a strategy, the strategy is going to be based on data that is going to come from out there. And if you don't know how that data can be authentically captured, you don't know business.
Perfect.